All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Josh Gordon. I am the senior editor at theleadpastor.com, and I'm actually truly excited and thrilled to be sitting down with new friend, Kingdom colleague,
Yeah.
Jessica. You're a VP at SteepleMate, but Jessica, why don't you just take a minute or two, just talk a little bit about yourself, talk about your role at SteepleMate,
Yeah.
and then I've got a ton of questions I'm pumped to jump into and talk about with you. But
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, I'm a Texan. So, right in the heart of the Bible Belt of the United States. Church has always been close in my life. Even as a child, went to a super small church. My pastor lived right across the street from us. We'd go down to the church and sing about somehow we would mash tacos and Jesus into a song. I have no idea how that happened. But it was definitely community at its truest sense. But as I got older, I got married. I had a baby. We're going to school, and just trying to stay plugged in into my church family. And I remember, just reaching out to some of the staff at what was at that point, kind of a mega church, I guess, and asking them, do you have a list of some of the home groups that might be in my area now that I've moved like 20 minutes away? And they didn't have a list. So it was really
mm,
difficult for me to get connected, to stay connected, still in that season of life that I was in. And that moment just stuck with me. I never want anyone to feel like they have to search that hard to stay connected to their spiritual community.
mhm,
And then in the earliest parts of my career, I was working in a ministry that was just really innovative, and using technology in really different smart ways. Um, I saw how much smoother that things could be when a ministry picked up these
mm,
technology tools. I mean, we're talking about the early 2010s. I mean, not every, early 2010, not very many
yeah,
people really had an iPhone. I mean, the iPhones were out, but people were
yeah,
just starting to get iPads, that kind of thing. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so technology, I mean, as a millennial, we've watched everyone enter into technology, get scared of it, walk away, come back to it. And so, but that the seeing how effective technology made that ministry, there was just something in my heart that said, every ministry needs this kind of technology.
Mhm.
And ultimately, 2020 happened to everyone. Um,
Yeah.
During that period for me, it was an opportunity for me to make that happen. And so I stumbled into the tech industry, and I am here to bring technology to ministries,
Yeah.
so that they can be innovative and so that they
Yeah.
can serve in ways that they've never served before. And yeah, and I don't want people to feel alone. I don't want people to feel like they can't find a home group simply because their church doesn't have a list of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So how long have you been at SteepleMate
Yeah,
then?
since about 2020, 2021 or 2022. Yeah,
And so I know from some of our previous
yeah,
conversations to this interview, like you'll spend time on the phone with churches,
yeah,
helping like walk them through either a sales process or like with customer support. Other things that your role entails?
a whole lot. I wear many, many hats,
Yeah.
just as many hats as the church leaders wear. I wear them all too, because I want to know
Hmm.
what their challenges are so that I can
Yeah.
think about how technology can bridge that gap. I've done everything from consulting to with any ministry, not just churches, but any ministry. Consulting, discovering the development pieces of what it takes to build an app for
Mhm.
the ministry, and then bringing it all together with the business development side. Right now, in this current season that we're in, focused on just getting the word out there that, hey, there's this tool. It's called SteepleMate, and it's going to help change your life. You can take down some of
Yeah.
those hats that you're wearing. You will actually have
Yep.
someone holding your hand. If we could literally put our hand through the monitor, we would hold it for you, to get you
Yeah.
past the struggle of moving from paper and pen and spreadsheets to technology that
Yeah.
saves you time. So
So you alluded to as well in earlier when your story, kind of introducing yourself, just like maybe frustration isn't quite the right word, but just
yeah,
the discomfort, the displacement, I guess, of looking to get connected with other people in the church you were at, and just the church not being equipped to be able to do that.
Yeah.
To help you with that. Have there been other uh painful experiences, I guess, within your church experience, that when you consider them, like, oh, this is actually probably fueling or some of my own passions around SteepleMate? Like, yeah, like, does that question make sense?
Yeah. I think that um let's see. I think the big thing is just as a church member. See, I never worked for the church. I always
Yeah.
worked in ministries that were outside of the church, that were supported by the church. And
So like
so,
parachurch style.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I've worked in, so I got in the earliest parts of my career, I was working in the pro-life industry. And
Yeah.
so there's this break, this gray area where it's difficult for ministries like that to connect and stay connected to the church, because they rely
Mm,
so much on the church's support.
yeah.
And so that is what was just the biggest driving factor for me getting into tech and
Mm,
serving the church.
yeah.
But yeah, if a pastor or if any like church admin out there is wearing 100 different hats, and if they're able to lay down like at least a dozen of those, then I mean, imagine how much time that you're freeing up on that person's plate for them to be able
Yeah.
to stop focusing on the paper and instead, oh, there's a ministry over there that needs our help. They need our attention.
Yeah.
Because there's a
Yeah.
woman, there's a family, there's a single dad out there that needs help. And the only way that they're
Mm,
going to get that help is if the church is not uh, you know, deep into their paper and spreadsheets. If you're so busy trying to just stay organized, then
mm,
you're not able to spend as much time as you could on the people that you're serving. And so I really just want to uh, help to make it possible for churches to stop doing all of that hard work, let us do the hard work
yeah.
so you can do the
Yeah.
heart work, is
Yeah. Yeah.
what we hope. So
It's a great line.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's the driving factor for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that the organization aspect of things is really important. And in my own personal journey with church, I think back to some of the most difficult experiences I had. Most of them actually were very early in my career as like interning at a church. I got one of my first ever positions, a paid position as a web director at a
Mhm.
church. And there were some like really difficult things I experienced that really made my life, and it threw me for a loop. And I had
Mhm.
to, it was through counseling and time away and like Jesus's faithfulness that I was able to heal and like kind of get over some of
Yeah.
that stuff. And one of the big things that I had to come to grips with was it wasn't church that hurt me. It was mismanagement that hurt me.
Exactly.
And it wasn't like I guess what I'm trying to get at is that management and administration, organization, that's just, if you're a church leader and you're not good at that stuff, people are going to get hurt. And
Yeah.
we don't want them to, like, of
Yeah.
course, but it's one of those things where uh you you've kind of got to be good at that, or you've got to
Yeah.
get good at that, or find ways to cover that weakness, not cover it in the sense of hide it away, but just like improve it, whether you've got an admin team or when I think about SteepleMate and the thing, I think especially the fact you guys are so family
Mhm.
focused and you are a smaller team, and the amount of technical support that you're willing to provide. Like, you told me a story about how you helped a pastor set up a Gmail account, because even that
Yeah.
was too much, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you think, just from your own like anecdotal front lines experience, how do you think pastors in general that you're working with, like, how do you think they are doing as far as from a technical perspective or administrative perspective?
I think that just when you pull back the curtain, churches are made up of ordinary people. It's me and you. people who are just trying to honor God with their lives. And if you and I started the ministry today, we would probably be thinking about our mission. Like if we're writing this out, we're thinking about our mission, the people, who are we going to serve? How are we going to do it? How are we going to drum up this money from donations so that we can afford to serve whatever we're trying to do, right? But technology is probably going to be the last thing on our list to talk about. But technology is such a crucial piece. And then ordinary people, just like me and you, I mean, we're not tech geniuses. We don't have the resources to be able to, build a new app that's going to serve the masses, right?
Yeah.
And so I've seen pastors wrestle with getting older members on board with tools that could actually help them reach the younger generation. A lot of pastors, a lot of church admins, they'll get on my calls and, they'll talk about how they're really struggling to keep youth in the church. And and it's easy to think, how small they are. They don't really need the technology. But, at most churches in America, there's, anywhere between like 70 to 250 people on an average Sunday. And then once you're juggling, if you've got 50 people on a Sunday, and then next week maybe 55, and then by this time next year you've maybe got 105, and so things can get overwhelming really fast. So you're juggling growth, you're juggling finances, you're trying to keep up with your spreadsheets and your sticky notes, and it just gets overwhelming. So by the time the church admins and these pastors are coming to me, they're overwhelmed and they're trying to figure out how to. They're like, I mean, I've sat there, we've prayed together. I had a pastor last week who gets on the call, and the night before, their church was doing an Easter event, and all of the kids had to take shelter in the basement because of a tornado that was passing by. So, these pastors, they're trying to do everything they possibly can to serve their communities, while at the same time they're trying to keep up with what they're trying to keep up. And so I get on the call with these pastors, and I'm like, "Hey, what's your biggest challenge right now? Let's talk about what we can do right now. Let's prioritize." And then let's talk about a wish list, because everybody has a wish list. Everybody has a dream of what they want to do. And then once we build out that roadmap, we're able to see some amazing things with, church leaders and these volunteers not getting burnt out as much because they're, in manual system, in so many of these manual systems. And I think just a lot of people are exhausted. By the time they get to me, like I said, they're exhausted. They're trying to figure out, how I can, how SteepleMate can fit into their day, when really, and a lot of these, a lot of churches, I also find a lot of churches having this sentiment that, just because of the past technologies that have been available to the churches, a lot of churches are under the assumption that they're going to have to change because of the technology that they're about to adopt. And that's not true. You don't need to change your workflows. You don't need to change your processes. You can still have VBS the exact same way that you've always done it. We're not changing that. What needs to happen is, rather than technology, rather than the churches adopting to technology needs to adapt to the church. So and that's what we try to do with SteepleMate. We don't want the churches adapting to technology. We want to adapt to them. So if for some reason today something changes with the churches, where now they suddenly need to count how many bananas that people are eating every day, we want to be able to figure that out in the system so that you can do that. Not just saying, "Oh no, we're not going to do that anymore." Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, I think even like in my own experience, so I'm not gonna try and like throw shade at anybody, so our church uses Planning Center, and there's just some aspects, so I'm a lay pastor, and so I'm part of a pastoral team. There are some aspects of our church life that we kind of can't use Planning Center for because it doesn't have a module for it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing you say is that SteepleMate could come along as like, okay, what are the different things you've got? Like, how are things working? And then how can we adapt or adapt? Sorry, the
I know, right?
right one first time around. And then kind of like, how can our technology support the systems and the processes that are already in place? Is that what, am I hearing you correctly?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have a new ministry and your current software doesn't support that ministry, you need to go tell your software what's happening. Because they want, and I think that they want to know. I mean, we want to know. We want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, we go to church, but I mean, we're not, we can only wear so many hats at some point, right? So we're not going to know every single, minuscule thing. And where a Catholic church is running their ministries one way, a Protestant church is going to run it a different way versus a Lutheran church is going to run it a different way. And so we do not ever want to force these churches to, hey, you're going to start tracking how many times somebody has been baptized, water baptism. And we're not going to make you do that. We're going to say, no, SteepleMate is going to adapt to how you serve your community so that you can do the best that you possibly can do and not have to worry about the technology. I think that's what scares people away from technology, is the thought that, oh, now you got to change your processes or, something like that. But if you have a new ministry, or if something changes in the church and your current software doesn't meet that new need, go tell your church management system. They need to know. They want to know how to serve you better. Because that's what we're here for. We're here. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, for us at SteepleMate, we serve and we serve well because this is how we glorify God, right? I mean,
for sure.
If we like, pull back the curtain, our roles every day as parents, as children, as, employees, or we do everything we, every day. Our mission is to glorify God. How can we do that? Well, just by showing up and doing the best job that we possibly can. And to do that, I want to listen to what you have to say. I want to hear what your current challenges are so that we can step in and we can help you with that if we can. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I just really have loved meeting you. I've
Cool.
loved talking to you about stuff, and that's sort of things with my job that I'm just finding is so fulfilling, is connecting to other kingdom colleagues, like other people who we're serving pastors, we're serving churches, because that's the most important thing. Like, God's plan A is to use the church, to impact the world. That he doesn't have a plan B. Like, that's how it is. And so I think there's something very special and sacred even about being able to work with churches, being able to work with pastors, helping them to do, to fulfill their roles, with less friction, with less challenge, with less difficulty. And so it's really special. So thank you so much for, well, obviously for sitting down and chatting today. It's been awesome. But also just for being part of SteepleMate and being part of the, anytime I hear people say the industry, it feels like that takes the personal aspect out of it. And so, it's meaningful to me that you're willing to kind of sit down and chat and kind of peel back the curtains you're saying about what SteepleMate's all about. And, I mean, it's awesome.
I mean, unfortunately, I'm going to send you an article later, but unfortunately, this is an industry. Church is an industry. Unfortunately, it is a business, but it's God's industry. It's God's business, right? And so as Christians, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to let the secular people run the show and run the narrative for us? No, we can do that. We can step in and we can adopt technology with purpose and glorify God in it. And I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Jessica, if someone wants to contact you, where can someone find either you or find SteepleMate if they're looking on social media, looking online? Where should they go to find you guys? Yeah,
you can just search us up as SteepleMate.com. Steeple like a church tower, mate like friend, SteepleMate.com. I think the handles are usually at SteepleMate. You can also email us at hello@steeplemate.com. You'll catch any of us on our team. by doing that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Any last words? Anything else you want to throw out there before we wrap up?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, every day our team has our morning stand-ups, and we end our calls with "Make it a great day." So we hope that you make it a great day. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's it.
Well, thank you so much again for your time today. It's just a real pleasure to connect. I'm sure we'll have more conversations, and I'd love to chat more and have another interview sometime maybe.
Yeah.
But thanks again. Super pumped.
All right. Perfect. Thank you
Awesome.
so much, Josh.
Thanks, everyone.